Devakim Vasudevam cha Darshayannatma Sauhridam Ochayamasa Nigadat Vishrabdha Kanyaka Gira Devakim Vasudevam cha Darshayannatma Sauhridam Mochayamasa. Kamsa released them, Nigadat, from their iron shackles, Vishrabdha, with full confidence, Kanyaka Gira, in the words of the goddess Durga, Devakim, toward his sister Devaki, Vasudevam cha, and his brother-in-law Vasudeva, Darshayan, fully exhibiting, Atmasauhridam, his family relationship. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Fully believing in the words of the goddess Durga, Kamsa exhibited his familial affection for Devaki and Vasudeva by immediately releasing them from their iron shackles. Please repeat this translation after me. Fully believing in the words of the goddess Durga, Kamsa exhibited his familial affection for Devaki and Vasudeva by immediately releasing them from their iron shackles. I'll read text number 25 by myself. Bhratu samanutaptasya kshantarosha cha devaki vyasrujad vasudevascha prahasyatam uvachaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. When Devaki saw her brother actually repentant while explaining ordained events, she was relieved of all anger. Similarly, Vasudeva was also free from anger. Smiling, he spoke to Kamsa as follows. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Devaki and Vasudeva, both highly elevated personalities, accepted the truth presented by Kamsa that everything is ordained by providence. According to the prophecy, Kamsa would be killed by the eighth child of Devaki. Therefore, Vasudeva and Devaki saw that behind all these incidents was a great plan devised by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because the Lord had already taken birth, just like a human child, and was in the safe custody of Yashoda, everything was happening according to plan. And there was no need to continue their ill feeling toward Kamsa. Thus they accepted Kamsa's words. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The events are unfolding. The extraordinary events, the pastimes of Krishna, Krishna Leela is unfolding. So obviously, Krishna Leela begins with his birth in this world as a son of his devotees. Now, why is Krishna Leela special as compared to the pastimes of the Lord in his all other incarnations? That's because of several reasons. One is Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is appearing in his original form, which is in the spiritual world. And he note this very carefully. No other incarnation appears in their original form in the spiritual world. But because Krishna's original form resembles the human form of an ordinary human being in this world, it is not easily understandable that Krishna has appeared, the Supreme Lord has appeared in his original form. In most places in the scriptures, it is described that there is a spiritual world. In the spiritual world, there is a Supreme Lord, Narayana. He is the original Supreme Person in the spiritual world. And there are so many glorifications of that particular form of the Lord, Narayana. Narayana Upanishad, Narayana Samhita, original Vedic literatures. And of course, so many descriptions of Narayana, even in the Bhagavatam. But in the Bhagavatam, something very, very confidential is revealed. And that is revealed by Shukadev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. That Krishna is not appearing in a assumed form for the sake of his Leela in this material world. He is, of course, performing his Leela in this material world when he's appeared as Krishna. But it is his original form in the spiritual world. But the original form of the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world is four-handed, Narayana. So, some places in the scripture it is said Narayana has appeared as Krishna. Even Brahma's prayers, 10th canto, 14th chapter, he says, my dear Lord is addressing Krishna as a small cowherd boy. So he is telling, you are the original Narayana. Brahma is telling, Brahma is authority. Brahma knows the truth, he's speaking the truth, speaking facts. So if Krishna is, as a small cowherd boy, the original Narayana, then why is it said Krishna appeared in his original form? Because the confidential parts of the most confidential parts of the Vedic literature reveal that above and beyond the Vaikuntha Lokas, which constitute the spiritual world, is Goloka Vrindavana, another planet. That is also a spiritual planet like the Vaikuntha Lokas. But in that planet, the Supreme Lord, the one and only Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ekameva Advitiya. God is Eka, only one. Eva, certainly is only one. Advitiya, stressing further. The Eva in this Vedic aphorism, Eka, Ekam, Eva, Ekameva, is only one. There's only one Supreme Lord. There's only one God. Advitiya, further stressing there is no second Supreme Person. God is one. After stressing so much, you're telling there is another Supreme Personality of Godhead called Krishna, another planet. So, to understand this is possible only if you hear the scriptures from a Krishna realized soul. Therefore, in Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. I think it's Vishnu Padaya. Okay, both mean the same. When we say Nama Om Vishnu Padaya or Vishnu Padaya, Srila Prabhupada, we are offering our obeisances to him, one who has taken complete shelter of the lotus feet of Vishnu, one who is firmly situated in devotional service to the lotus feet of Vishnu. Who is Vishnu? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. But then the next part of the prayer says, Krishna Presthaya Bhutale. Now, Krishna Presthaya means he is very, 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 very dear to Krishna. Krishna Presthaya is very dear to Krishna. On the entire surface of the earth, Bhutale means on the surface of this earth planet on which we are living. He is very dear to Krishna because Krishna has got so many dear devotees on this earth planet. But among them, he is the most dear, Prabhupada. Krishna Presthaya Bhutale. Srimate, who is that person? Nama Om. Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Presthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine. His specific name is being given. Srimad, Srimad, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. So, this distinction between Krishna and Narayana, Krishna and Vishnu, is very difficult to understand even for those who are who have studied the Vedas, who have understood the personal aspect of the absolute truth as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, who appears in this world as Vishnu. The first incarnation when the material creation takes place is Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is an incarnation of Sankarshana in the spiritual world. Now, Mahavishnu's form, Sankarshana is four-handed Narayana form. Mahavishnu's form is also like Sankarshana's form, four-handed Narayana form, but Mahavishnu appears to be lying down on one snake bed. Snake bed. Very strange, no? Snake bed. Supreme Lord, Supreme Pure. He's lying down on a snake bed. So, moment atheists and materialists hear this, they will make a joke of all these descriptions. These foolish devotees, they believe all these kind of things. Snake bed. Their God is supposed to be very divine and very pure and very auspicious and all. And he sleeps on a snake bed. And these foolish people say, he's God. He's God. They all worship him. They bow down to him. So therefore, this is called a Leela of the Supreme Lord, the pastime. He himself as Narayana assumes this form of Sheshanag. Sheshanag. Nag means serpent. Specifically, serpent with the hoods. And he has a transcendental form. He has a transcendental form in the spiritual world. He is Sankarshana in the spiritual world. And he assumes the form of Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu's form at least resembles Sankarshana's form or Narayana's form. But Adishesha, not Adishesha, Sheshanag, Anantasesha, his form does not resemble Narayana's form. Snake form. His form resembles that of a hooded snake in the material world. Therefore, in the Bhagavatam, there is an entire chapter in the 5th canto, the glories of Lord Ananta. Ananta refers to Anantasesha. So that form is an assumed form for the sake of the Lord's pastimes in this material world. And he, because the Supreme Lord is completely independent, so the Supreme Lord, as the independent Lord, he is not dependent on anybody else for his own pastimes, for his necessities, for his arrangements. So he himself becomes his own bed in the form of Anantasesha. He himself becomes his own throne, his crown, his conch, his chakra, Sudarshan chakra. Sudarshan chakra is the Lord himself, Narayana himself. So all these are assumed forms. Coming back to my original point with which I started this discourse. Krishna is not an assumed form. Krishna is not an assumed form. So Krishna Leela is special because Krishna displays his original form which is there in the spiritual world. which even the Devatas who know the Supreme Lord is present as an incarnation as Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. Kshirodakashayi Vishnu is also an assumed form of the Lord as maintainer of this material world. So Kshirodakashayi Vishnu also is an assumed form. And he is also lying on Anantasesha in his abode, Shweta Dvipa. He's got his own planet in the material world. And he's lying down there on Sheshnag. So that maintainer Vishnu, the demigods can go when they have some problem which nobody can solve. None of the Devatas can solve, including Brahma and Shiva. And they go there, they cannot see him. They go to his planet, they stand on the shore of the Milk Ocean. In the center of that Milk Ocean, there is one island called Shweta Dvipa. On that island, Lord Vishnu, Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, the maintainer Vishnu is there. He is there. But they cannot see him. And Brahma will sit in meditation on that Supreme Lord on the shore of the ocean, Milk Ocean, in Shwetadvipa, in that planet. And he will meditate, and the Lord will communicate to him through his heart. The Lord will not give darshan. So these Devatas, they have the facility of approaching him. And their solution to their problems are communicated through Brahma from within Brahma's heart. And then they all come back. Okay, Vishnu is now going to deal with our problem. So we'll be waiting. When is Vishnu going to solve our problem? How is he going to solve our problem? That Brahma may have some clues. But none of them know what exactly is the way in which Vishnu will solve their problem. So, please understand, for us, everything is explained by Prabhupada in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's very clear. But it is not so clear even to the very Devatas who are part of Krishna Leela, when actually the Leela is taking place. It's not very clear. Nothing is clear except what they have been told. And they all know the Supreme Lord is a supreme unknown. He is a supreme personality whose form, name, activities, qualities are inconceivable, unlimited, innumerable, extraordinary, that they all know. So therefore, the pure devotees and the Devatas, especially the higher Devatas, Brahma, Shiva, Durga, all of them never speculate about God, about Narayana or Krishna. They always wait for revelation. Things will be revealed. Just like here it is explained in this 24th verse. This is Shukadev Goswami narrating the pastime of Krishna's appearance to Parikshit Maharaj. So Shukadev Goswami says that what happened? The turn of events after Krishna's appearance is Krishna has been safely taken to Nanda Gokula. He is hidden in the house of Nanda and Yashoda. And the baby daughter born of Nanda and Yashoda has been brought by Vasudeva. And after that, automatically, the iron shackles from which Vasudeva was released for transferring Krishna to Nanda Gokula, again the shackles have automatically been put in place the way it was before Krishna's appearance. So Kamsa or the others in the Kamsa's palace, other prison staff, none of them can make out what has happened in the middle of the night when they were all asleep under the influence of Yogamaya. This is called Krishna Leela. Krishna Leela. So Prabhupada says in the purport here that Vasudeva and Devaki saw that behind all these incidents was a great plan devised by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only after these events, they are understanding there is a plan of the Supreme Lord. Because they know the Lord has a supreme plan and a divine plan. But what that plan is, how it's going to unfold, they don't know. So they'll come to know only in stages. So far, the child has appeared, the Supreme Lord has appeared as their child. And to convince them, he has appeared first in his Narayana form. And then, because Devaki is very anxious to protect this child, knowing very well that the Supreme Lord has appeared, where can there be any danger for the Supreme Lord? Devotees know there is no danger for Supreme Lord. There's no chance anybody can kill the Supreme Lord. But still, exhibiting her motherly affection. She is simultaneously a pure devotee who knows God as a Supreme Lord, but had a desire that I want to have a son like the Supreme Lord, for which Krishna said, there is nobody like me. I am the only one. So then Krishna said, okay, you want to have a child like me, I'll satisfy your desire. I myself will appear as your son. I myself will appear as your son. So to convince Vasudeva and Devaki that the Supreme Lord himself had appeared as their son, he appeared in that Narayana form. But because Devaki is having the Supreme Lord as her son born to her, obviously as a mother, she wants to, exhibit or express her affection for the child. So part of the affection for the child is the safety of the child. Because her first six children were all killed by Kamsa. So she is very afraid. Kamsa is also now going to attempt to kill this child also. Before Kamsa can do anything, can I hide this child? Can I do something? Because middle of the night, Krishna has appeared. It's all dark. And surprisingly, the night guards who are very alert gone to sleep. So Devaki was anxious to protect the child. So Krishna said, don't worry. I will transform myself into a small infant so that they can easily cheat Kamsa and the prison keepers and hide the child. Now, where is Devaki going to hide this child? For that also Krishna says, don't worry, I'll tell you where to hide me. You take me to Nanda Gokula, hide completely in a different place, completely away from this palace. So all this turn of events actually is convincing Vasudeva and Devaki, because they're pure devotees. They know there's a divine plan of the Lord, but they don't know what that plan is. That plan is unfolding. And it is very exciting for them to wait and see how the plan is, what the plan is, how the plan is going to be actually unfolding. So one by one, the events are happening now. Okay. So Kamsa has been cheated by actually the Lord, but Kamsa doesn't know that. He thought the eighth child of Devaki was a baby girl. And then that baby girl also, he did not want to spare. He tried to kill. She slipped from his hand. That baby, the child, small child, slipped from his hand. Kamsa is completely bewildered. What is this? Small child slipping from my hand. And suddenly sees Durga Devi, 8-armed form, ferocious form, riding a lion. That's not described here, but I am adding. And Durga Devi's form is very ferocious because not only she appears very angry, but she also generally rides on a lion. Anyway, she appeared in the sky, 8-armed form, and she spoke. Not just appeared, she spoke. You fool. The child which is destined to kill you is already born somewhere else. Don't be cruel to your poor sister. Kamsa fully believed that my plan to kill this child as soon as it's born is completely spoiled, already thwarted. So then he became philosophical. He became philosophical. And then he spoke to pacify Vasudeva and Devaki. He said, kindly pardon me what all I did. I did it in believing the prophecy. But I didn't know even providence lies. He doesn't know providence has not made any lie. It's not any lie. But he thinks like that. See, he doesn't know what has happened in the middle of the night. So, Kamsa begged forgiveness, and he also tried to pacify his sister and brother-in-law because he had a realization that Kala and this Daiva, Kala is time and Daiva is providence. So, Kala and Daiva are forces of the Supreme Lord which are working in this material world, which nobody can overcome, including the very powerful demon Kamsa. Even the most powerful, very, very powerful demon Kamsa cannot overcome. So exactly according to Kala, things are happening. Exactly according to Kala, different events are happening. And Daiva is the will of the Lord, which we say in English it is said as providence. In Sanskrit it is Daiva. In the 5 factors of action described in the Bhagavad Gita, Adhishthanam tatha karta, karanam cha prathak vidam, vividascha prathak cheshta, daivam evatra panchamam. 5 factors of action. 4 are easily understandable by us. There has to be a doer. There has to be the place of action. Then there has to be a definite instruments of action. If I have to act as the doer, I have to do something, then I have to utilize my karmendriya. So the karmendriyas, one or more, which I use for doing some action, my hands, my legs, my voice, whatever, the 5 karmendriyas, they are called karanam, the instruments. A doer has to execute the action or carry out the action using his senses, his his senses of action, karmendriya. And then cheshta, there has to be a specific endeavor. Endeavor means if I had to lift this book, I had to extend my hand, use my fingers, hold the book, and then lift it. There's a specific action I have to do. Specific action. So that's called cheshta. But the fifth factor, most people don't know this fifth factor, that is called daiva. Daiva means the Supreme Lord who's seated in everyone's heart as the super soul, who's entered into every atom as the super soul, who's present everywhere as the super soul in this entire creation. He's in everybody's heart. He's in everybody. Every planet he has entered. He has entered into the universe. He has entered into the material energy. He is a super soul. He is Krishna himself in another form as super soul. So that super soul is controlling everything. He's got a plan. Is unfolding according to Kala. Kala is also super soul's own energy working in this world. So that is called daiva in this fifth factor of action, the super soul. So generally nobody considers this fifth factor of action, successful accomplishment of action. Why? Even if all the four factors are perfectly available for the accomplishment of the action. I'm doing something. I am the doer that I have to do. A specific person has to do something, some action to take place. The person has to do it in a specific place. Place not only means the physical place, but also the conditions necessary for executing an action. Just like if you have to start cooking, you have to cook something, then you need a fire, you need a vessel, you need some ingredients, the grains, you need some knife, or you need some ladle, or all these are called adhishthanam. Whatever the necessities of the action to take place, the different arrangements, initial arrangements, everything is required. Only then, under favorable conditions also, like you can't light a fire in a very windy place. At the same time, you can't light a fire in vacuum where there is no air at all. You see the importance of air circulation, right? So how Krishna has created this world? When you have to properly execute an action, all conditions will be favorable for you to execute the action so that the action will take place. Successful accomplishment of any work or action. Krishna describes this in the 18th chapter. So this adhishthanam is so important factor, because if the conditions are not favorable or suitable, the action cannot take place in spite of your sincere efforts, in spite of your endeavor, in spite of your being able to use your senses, and you're willing to do that, you want to do it, but still the action does not take place because of daiva. Daiva. So when any of these four factors are absent, you can understand action will not take place. It's very easy to understand. But what is this daiva? And who is this daiva? And where is daiva? And what is the role of daiva? A person who is ignorant about Krishna consciousness does not know. So daiva is sanctioning some action. We desire to do something, and then after desiring, it's not enough. We have to actually act. You have to actually act. Krishna, when he desires something to happen, Krishna does not have to act. It will automatically happen. Let's say Krishna is called Satya Sankalpa. Sankalpa means we have a desire, or we have a wish to do something. We want to do something. That's called Sankalpa. But for the Sankalpa to actually translate into the action to take place, we have to do something. We can't just sit and wish or desire and it will happen. No, it never happens like that. Krishna, on the other hand, he also, like us, he desires or he wills. I want to do something. I want to create. Immediately the creation takes place. How? Krishna has got so many personalities working for him. Krishna has got so many instruments, so many energies. All of them are working for Krishna only. The entire creation is working for Krishna. The spiritual world, the material world, the spiritual energy, the material energy, all the living entities, whether in the spiritual world as devotees or in the material world as non-devotees, all are working for Krishna only, for carrying out Krishna's will. So Krishna is called Satya Sankalpa. So whereas we are not Satya Sankalpa, we are not God. So we have to do something. Now, in order to do something, unless the situation is favorable, we cannot. Just like you cannot cook when you're trying to light a fire in a windy place. You cannot. So, all these conditions, favorable conditions, is called adhishtanam. Then, if you have to lift something, you require to have the hand. So, somebody who doesn't have the hand or whose fingers are frozen, cannot move the fingers, then how they can lift? In extreme cold weather, when somebody is not having warm covering for the hand gets frozen outdoor in extreme winter. Like we're going to go for Kumbh Mela. Some of us are going. So in Kumbh Mela, I can expect when you go to take that, auspicious bath in the Sangam, water will be freezing cold. And even before you enter the water, there will be always some chill wind blowing. That's what I've heard. I've never been there. Be prepared for that, I've been told. So chill wind blowing, that will completely make our hands, our legs, whatever portion is exposed, completely numb. Then I can't even move my hand. I can't feel anything. If I try to touch something, I can't feel what it is. Can't use my hand. Certainly, I can't use my hand for lifting a book or lifting a thing. No. So, favorable conditions, adhishtanam, karta, then this instruments of action, okay, the hand. Then, cheshta, what I have to do, specifically what I have to do. But Daiva is the sanctioning authority. Unless Daiva sanctions, even if the other four factors are favorable, it will not happen. The action won't take place. That's why we see many times people, they make plan and they systematically work on executing that plan. And it seems like they did everything properly. In the end, the result is the work was not accomplished. There is no success in the effort. There is only failure. So why failure? In spite of everything. And then they try to analyze. No, naturally, when something does not happen, they can't figure out. Especially this is true in this launching that rockets, whatever that communication satellite they want to launch. obviously they will take all care to make everything perfect. But there have been instances, you speak to those people working in that ISRO, rocket launching, spaceship launching, or whatever, satellite launching. They say everything was perfect. But something went wrong. We don't know. The satellite never took off. So, of late, we see the ISRO director, before the launch, they have done everything required. Then they also offer prayers. Because that ISRO director is intelligent. He knows. Daivam, the fifth factor, the most important factor. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. The fifth factor is the most important factor. Daiva. And that Daiva is super soul, God. He has to sanction. If his sanction is not there, in spite of all the other things being perfectly arranged, everything is very favorable, but still it will not happen. So therefore, they are not fools offering prayers that may our rocket launch be successful. They're not fools. They are the most intelligent people. The atheists, the non-believers, the agnostics, the materialists, they are the fools. So here it is being explained that Devaki and Vasudeva saw that behind the incidents was a great plan devised by the Lord. Kamsa could not kill the eighth child. The eighth child is safe. And Kamsa is realizing his mistake and he's even apologizing. So Devaki and Vasudeva, naturally the mother or father will be angry at Kamsa. Why is he killing our child? But they gave up their anger and Vasudeva spoke to Kamsa very mercifully, very kindly. He spoke to Kamsa. What he spoke is going to come next. So I'll stop here. Rantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.